I've had several requests on how to make clay cone trees, and I thought I would show you a few different ideas today. Okay, so we're making cone trees out of clay. I am using just a regular styrofoam cone. You can use any size for this project. This one is approximately between 7 and 8 inches tall. And the first thing, very important to do, is to take something, and I just like to use newspapers and wrap your cone so that when you are done, you can easily slip it out of your tree and put it in the kiln for firing. The way I start is at an angle. It just seems to be the easiest way to do it. And you can see I have a corner of it, and I'm just rolling it around my cone. I'm doing it as tight as I can. And then I'll be taking some tape and just taping along that edge. Any kind of tape will work, whatever you have at home. Next, I'm going to cut off this edge or just fold it under, whichever you like. And you can see this one, I've already done it too, and I just taped it over the bottom. At the end, we're going to be opening that up and pulling the cone out, okay? There will be a link down below for the cones. I just got these off Amazon. They have an awesome selection, and you can do whatever size you want. It's nice to have all different sizes so that you have almost like a little forest. I like to put it right down the middle of my dining room table, and we put little lights underneath them, and it looks beautiful. Just taping up the bottom. Nothing fancy, we're going to rip it off later. Okay, so that's our cone. I'm just kind of smashing down the bottom so it stands up for me. The next thing we're going to do is take our clay, and I have a couple pieces cut here already. I cut 2 pieces. My clay is not real big at this point. You can see one piece is, maybe 5 by 7 at the most. And I'm just going to put them together and pound them out a little bit and roll them. How am I rolling it? Well, I'm going to start with a piece of plastic over the top, and I am going to start with this little roller, pounding it. My clay is nice and wet, just pounding over the seam. I'm trying to roll that out so the 2 pieces are coming together. See how they're even? You can just blend them together now. Now, I do have 2 rulers. You can use paint sticks. You can use tongue depressors like we have in the past, 3 together. I'm putting them on either side. If you don't have a clay roller, then this is the thing to do. You'll get it at the same thickness as you roll along. You want your roller to hit both sides. And you know you're done when your roller is riding right on that ruler and then your clay's not getting any thinner. You can see how I'm not going over the edge of my clay because I don't want that to get thin at the edge. It uses up your workspace. It won't be the same thickness. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. So my clay is still pretty thick. What I'm going to do is take this special roller. This one has spacers on the end, which will make sure you have it all the same thickness. Down in the description, there's a link for this. You can see we're going a little bit smaller, a little thinner. There are all different kinds of rollers like this. This one's not very expensive, and it is great for clay. It comes in the kit with these other rollers that you've seen me use that have patterns on them. This is part of that set. Okay. Now that it is mostly the thickness that I want, I'm just going to roll it out a little bit more to the size I want to make sure my cone fits on it. Okay, I have to make it so my cone fits on. Now, just because my cone is this length doesn't mean my tree has to be this length. I do want some space for my fingers to be able to reach in and pull that clay off the top. So I am going to leave some of the cone exposed. I'm going to use my pink needle tool, and I'm going to start at the widest point. Cut off some extra clay. And I'm just going to roll it. Let me flip my clay around so you can see. I'm just going to roll it until it overlaps. It's overlapping right there. And then I'm going to take my pin tool, and where it's double, I'm just going to cut straight down. And when I do that, taking off the extra clay there, lift up where I've cut, and there'll be some extra clay underneath there. Okay, let's take that and put that aside. Now, you can decide how tall you want it, how far you want it coming up off the cone also. Now, the first tree I'm showing you is going to be just a smooth clay, and we're going to do cutouts. So the first one, we're going to do star cutouts. You could also do heart cutouts, so they look like this. Little star, a little heart. We have circles of all sizes. You know, whatever design you like. With a bunch of circles, different sizes, it's a gorgeous tree. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this and do what we call a blending seam. Just going to blend that all along there. So you can see this is not on the cone. It's way taller than the cone at this point. And I'm just smoothing out the seam. You can take a tongue depressor and just come in and smooth that out easily. Take your fingers. And take a little water. just a damp sponge. Wring it out completely and just smooth it out. See how quickly that smooths out? I'm going to go all the way around. Just check for fingernail marks or fingerprints, dents. Smooth it out. Okay, I'm also going to even up the bottom. You can see the bottom. As I roll it around, it's different heights. So to do that, I'm just going to keep my hand at one level and just work my way around the tree. It might not be perfect, but it'll be pretty close. Right to the same spot. Just cleaning up the edge. I'm going to kind of clean up that top also. You can do whatever you like. You can make it more pointed. I kind of want the light to show up out of that. You can also take it and roll it. Okay, that should be good for our next step. This is a simple one. All I'm going to do is take stars and cut with my cutter. These are Macon cutters. They're real small. You can get a lot of different sets. They do have a few of them on Amazon also. And they're just like cookie cutters. And I'm just going to take them and cut all the way until I can feel that cone underneath. Pull it out. And if they don't come out like that, you just come in with a needle tool and pull it out. My clay is pretty wet, so it's going to give me a little trouble apparently. See, there it goes. If your clay is too wet like this, just wait a few minutes and then go back in and do it. And just randomly, I know random can be difficult, but just randomly go in and take out different cuttings. Poke it out. You can use the back of a brush. And just keep working your way around your clay. Okay, again, to do that, you would like your clay to be a little drier. It's much easier to cut through when it is, say, leather hard or not quite that dry. Leather hard works beautifully. Anyways, we are going to next take a brush and clean up all those stars that we just made. Just smooth them out. just a little bit of water. You can also use your sponge again. And you can see there's a nice assortment of stars. Now that's it. You just take this and you set it aside and let it dry for a little bit, maybe an hour. And then we're going to pull the cone out of the middle. Let's go on to another one. I'm going to roll some clay out really quick, and then we'll be back to show you how to do a patterned cone tree. Okay, so we have this clay all rolled out and ready. You can see that there isn't a slick look to it. It's a little drier than it was earlier when we were using our clay. I am going to now make a little more rustic cone tree. It has a pattern, so we're using a pattern rolling pin. And then we're going to wrap it around and close it up in a more rustic manner. So let's start with the rolling pin and press and make our design. I'm pressing pretty hard as I go along, trying to keep it nice and even flow. There we go. You have a nice pattern in that clay. It's somewhat like a herringbone, if you can see it on the roller. And we're going to do the same thing with this tree. We're going to start with a cone. It's all wrapped and ready for us this time, but there are 2 layers of paper on here. We're going to start on one side and roll it up just like we did before. Make a cut so it goes all the way along the length of my cone. And then I'm going to start rolling it. We have to put the design side down, so it's on the outside, of course. So we're going to start with that cut, and I'm just going to roll it up. Nice and gentle. I don't want to mess up my pattern, right? Think about where I want it on that cone. And now I am right where it's going to cross over. You can see it's lining up. And I'm going to take my cutting tool and cut straight across again, just like that. Extra clay. And now what I'm going to do is just put those 2 sides together, like that. Make sure it covers everywhere. And then I'm going to score, which is your scratching. Score both sides and add some water. And that's going to make some slip for us. We're going to put it together and it's going to stick nicely. Almost like suction cups. Just roll it back over. You see when I'm pressing it, see the water coming out. There we go. We're just going to line it up, put it right over, and we're going to leave it pretty rustic, just like that. We're going to cut the end like we did before so it's nice and even. So holding my needle in the same spot and just working my way around my cone. Don't let your hand change position. Pull that extra off. There's not a lot of cleaning on this one because we have the pattern on the outside. Okay. Just checking the top. See if it's the way I want it. Now, here's my edge. And on this one, I'm just going to do something really cute. I'm going to take some extra clay. And I'm going to cut out some circles. These are going to look like little buttons are holding it together. This was a special request that I got from somebody. So, see if we can do what they were hoping. They're all different sizes of these circle cutters, which is really nice. You can pick the size you want. Now we're going to take these little circles and they're going to become our little buttons. And it's going to look like the buttoned up Christmas tree. So I'm just going to first place them on there, giving me an idea of where I want them and how many I want on there. So I'm thinking they're pretty good size buttons, so we might only need 3. I'm going to take my needle tool and just score my button, add a little water, and slip them on there. Just smash them on there gently. There's going to be one more step that I show you. I'm looking at my pattern right here, and I'm not sure you can see that on the screen. The pattern is pretty simple, but once you glaze it, the pattern really comes out and you can see the design. So it's pretty cool. That's why I like the patterns. So we're just scoring both parts, adding that water and slipping them on there. Now I'm going to take another look and make sure that's where I want them. Line them up. And then I'm going to take a brush. And on this one, I'm just going to put 1 hole in the middle, but you could also take a smaller brush and put 2 holes so it looks like a button. Maybe that's cuter. Maybe we'll do that. So just put 1, 2, and then it looks like a little button. 1, 2. It's also pressing it down, so the button now is really on there and it's not going to pop off on you. 1, 2. There you go. So it looks like little buttons. And then take your sponge, clean up whatever you need to do, but be gentle on that pattern. There you go. There's your buttons. It's a nice little rustic tree. Okay, we're going to put this aside and we're going to make a base. Now there are 2 different ways, well, several different ways you can use this tree. You can put a light underneath it and this will shine up through it. And of course on our star tree, the light's going to shine through the stars plus out the top. But you can also make a base that it sits on to put the candle on. You can put the candle down on the ground and just put your cone right on top of it. So say you have a tablescape, you put candles throughout it and then just put one of the cones right on top of each one of the candles. You want a little tea light, it'll shine right up through there. This one, the request that I had, I thought you might be interested in too, is to make a little base and it looks like a little stem or trunk that the tree is standing on. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm just going to grab a piece of my clay that I already have rolled out and cut a circle bigger than my base. So I'm just going to plop my tree right on there, take my needle tool and cut around it. It's going to be bigger than my tree base so it can sit on top of it. I'm also going to take my roller and put a piece of paper around that. So I can use this as the trunk. So always use what you have around you. So I'm just taking that paper and wrapping it around the end. Tape it up, just like we did the cones. Now it's protected and I can slide that, see how I can slide that in and out. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is cut a piece that'll go around that. Now it all depends on how tall you want your trunk. going to say like 1.5 inches. I don't want it too high. Just going to wrap it right around there. And we're going to do the overlap method. Remember how we did that with the tree? Where it's double, we're going to cut right through both of them. When you do that, take off the excess and then join them. You can do a blending seam, just like that. Blend it all together. Now, I didn't cut real straight, so I'm going to do the thing where you hold your hand real even, real steady, and just make your way around to even it up. There we go. So I'm going to move this out of the way, our cone tree, and clean up our base. Now, I don't want mine to be perfect because this is going underneath my rustic tree. You can make it as round as you want. You can find a bowl in your cupboard that maybe is perfect circle, the right size that you want. I'm just going to make sure that it's generally right. Okay, let's clean up our spot here a little bit. And I'm just going to slide this off, just like that. And then I'm going to attach this. So scoring and slipping, I'm going to use a little bit of water, score it up, a little bit of water on there, and then line it up. You might want to get up and look right over the top. Clean it up a little bit. Now basically what this is going to be is your base just like this, and your candle is going to sit right here. But until it's dry, you want it to dry flat, so you're going to leave it upside down until it's dry. Clean it up, make sure it's flat, and then you're going to have cone tree and the base. Now this one's been sitting here, the one with the stars. Let's see if we can't pull that cone right out of there. I'm going to open up the bottom and just twist it the best I can. See how I'm twisting it? It's a twisting motion. Twist it and pull it out. And there you go. Whoops. Toppling over. There you go. There's your cone tree. Now, like I was saying, you can just put it on the table, put a candle, put it right over the top of it. It's going to shine up out over it. Now, what kind of paint? You can use any color. We've shown you several times how to use paint. And on these, you do want to get 3 coats, whether you're doing it before or after it's fired. If you're doing it before it's fired, you want to wait till it's about leather hard and then really apply generously with your paint. We love using the Mako foundations or the Mako elements on these. Those are really pretty too because it gets in all the crevices, and then the crevices really show up nicely and give you a few different colors. Different variations look beautiful. So that's how you do it. Your paint, when you bring it into the studio, is going to be fragile as well as your piece. So wait for that paint to dry before you bring it in for firing. Some of the tools that we use today, you can look at the bottom as far as the rollers go. We do have a link for those because we use those quite a bit in our studio. So I like those. They're very inexpensive. And you can also get slab rollers. Slab rollers would help you. You wouldn't have to roll your clay out. That's a little more of an investment. So that's something that you want to think about. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below, and please like, comment, and subscribe. We're happy to hear from you.